2015 was a vintage that I'm really fond of. It came in the middle of a string of 3 vintages that were all quite early. In other words, the bloom happened about 3 weeks earlier than what would be an average vintage. And the amount of heat that was accumulated during the growing season was high for all 3. The difference in 2015 was that in the last 10 days before we picked, where you're getting this huge influx of flavors, and really the character of flavor for the vintage is determined in that last 10 days. It was cooler in 15 than it was in 14 or in 16. So what you got is an especially lovely balance of mature fruit, nice tannins, good acidity because it wasn't so hot at the end, it didn't burn up the acid, and more moderate alcohol because when it's hot and sunny, the sugars go up because of dehydration in the plants. Sugars are going up, so then you get these kind of flabby, higher alcohol wines. But 15, the last 10 days really created the character, and it created a beautiful character for aging. Of all those 3, it's probably my favorite. One of the things to note is that of all the Pinot Noirs that we make, Freedom Hill is the last one that we release. The current vintage right now for Pinot Noir, Freedom Hill, is 15. So you've got this vintage that I've already told you I love, and a vineyard which is very consistent and makes a really well-structured wine. I always get a dark cherry quality from Freedom Hill. Normally in sedimentary soils, the fruit can kind of take on a lot of different characteristics, but in Freedom Hill, I get a dark cherry as a backbone. In general, what I get is an underpinning of earth in Freedom Hill. That's how the minerality plays itself out. For people that like their red wines to have really nice structure, people that like other varietals, warmer varietals, this wine has a more familiar mouthfeel. It has both acidity and really nice tannins. The tannins are ripe, they're not drying, they're not sawdusty, they're not difficult, they're actually really rich and full across your palate. The acidity is lying there just as a supportive structure around the edge, again, to keep your mouth, that juiciness that we've talked about that's really important for me. I don't want my wines to taste sour. I want the acidity to be a kind of bright, freshening quality. It certainly is here. But it also has such pretty fruit all through the middle of the mouth, well into the finish. So wine with this kind of structure and this loveliness of fruit is a natural match for big flavored dishes that have some sweetness. Think about a beautiful piece of steak. You've got that rustic outside that has all that richness on the crust, and then you've got that juicy inside that almost has a natural sweetness. This wine is a perfect match, but it doesn't have to be meat. I mean, my wife makes a beautiful roasted vegetable lasagna. And with the vegetables roasted and caramelized, and the cheese and the rich pasta and the tomatoes, you also get a lot of richness and power in that kind of dish. You could do it with stuffed pastas, manicottis, things like that. But there are a lot of dishes where there just naturally is a big burst of flavor. And for that, this is a beautiful wine. In terms of ageability, Freedom Hill doesn't really have the large swings that you get in some other vineyards. I find that what happens with the structure of this wine is that it's young and lovely and fresh, and over time it slowly just softens its edges. It's not like, oh, it's this, and then it's this, but it just kind of slowly becomes a little bit older with each vintage. I've made it since '94. 99, 2000s are still beautiful wines. So this wine can go 20 years, but like most Pinot Noir, It's only for those people that are really interested in that kind of older experience. Just enjoy it.